Well, I'm Jaginder Rana, and the product of the day is liability insurance. Liability insurance in India. And the purpose of liability insurance is to provide indemnity in respect of damages payable under law for personal injury to third parties or damages to their property. The legal liability may arise under common law on the basis of negligence or under statutory law. For example, Public Liability Insurance Act or Workmen Compensation Act, on no fault basis, that is, even when there is no negligence. The legal liability towards third parties arising out of the motor vehicles has been dealt with separately. But there are other situations where legal liability may arise, and insurances to cover this liability are dealt with in liability section. So these policies are known as the public liability policies, whereas in respect of motor vehicles, the policies are known as the third party insurance policies. Another class of legal liability insurance relates to employers' legal liability towards his employees for death or bodily injury, and the policy is known as the employer's liability insurance or workman compensation insurance. So the Public Liability Insurance Act 1991 imposes no fault liability, that is irrespective of any wrongful act, negligent or default on the owner to pay relief in the event of death or injury to person other than a workman within the meaning of the Workmen Compensation Act, or the damage to property of any person arising out of an accident while handling any hazardous substance. So no fault liability means the claimant is not required to prove that the death, injury or the damages was due to any wrongful act, neglect or default of any person. So the amount of relief payable under section 3 as per the schedule incorporates in the act are for fatal accident 25,000, permanent total disability 25,000. So these limits are subject to revisions. The liability has to be compulsorily insured under a contract of insurance for an amount not less than the amount of the paid up capital of the undertaking handling any hazardous substance. The maximum aggregate liability of the insurer to pay relief and then award to the several claimants arising out of an accident shall not exceed rupees 5 crore, and in case of more than one accident during the currency of the policy or 1 year, whichever is less, shall not exceed rupees 15 crores in the aggregates. So every owner, in addition to premium, has to pay to the insurer an equivalent amount to be credited to the Environmental Relief Fund or Environment Relief Fund establishes under the Act. The contribution received by the insurer shall be remitted as per the scheme made by the government. So the policy indemnifies insured owner against the statutory liability arising out of accident occurring during the currency of the policy due to handling hazardous substance as provided for the Public Liability Insurance Act and subject to the terms of the policy. There is a policy called Public Liability Policy, that is industrial, non-industrial risk. So industrial risks are manufacturing premises, including godowns, warehouses, etc., forming part thereof. And the non-industrial risks are hotels, motels, clubhouses, restaurants, boarding and lodging houses, flight kitchens, cinema halls, auditorium, theatres, public halls, pandals, open-air theatres, residential premises, office, administrative premises, medical establishments, airport premises, schools, educational institutions, public libraries, exhibitions, fairs and fetes, stadia, permanent amusement parks, film studios, indoors and outdoor circus and zoo, depot, warehouses, godowns, shops, tank farms, and similar other non-industrial risks. The policy indemnifies the insured against their legal liability other than the liability under the Public Liability Insurance Act 1991 or any other statute that may come into force after the issue of the policy. To pay compensation including claimants' cost, fees and expenses anywhere in India in accordance with the Indian law and in respect of accidents which cause death or injury or damage to property or third parties. So the basis of indemnity is on the basis of AOA and AOY. The insured has to select limits of indemnity, that is any one accident or any 1 year. In the ratio of 1:2 cover 1, 1:2, 1:3 and 1:4. There are extension of covers. On payment of extra premium, the following extensions of the cover are available, like liability for pollution, liability arising out of transportation of dangerous or hazardous substances by railroad or pipeline, liability of collaborator who has a technical collaboration agreement with the insured, or earthquake risk. Then there is a product liability policy. The demand for product liability insurance has arisen because of the wide variety of products, for example, canned food stuff, aerated waters, medicines and injections, animals and poultry feeding stuff, electrical appliances, mechanical equipment, acids and chemicals, gas cylinders, etc. Manufactured and sold to the public in the modern industrial society, which products, if defective, may cause death, bodily injury or illness, or even damage to property. Apart from the goods, the containers too can cause injury or damage. The structure of the policy is more or less the same as under public liability policy for industrial or non-industrial risk. The difference relating only to the coverage and some exclusions. Then there is a lift third party insurance. This policy is designed for owners of passenger lifts and buildings to cover third party liabilities for personal injuries or property damage arising out of and in the use of operation of the lifts. The coverage applies to death or bodily injury to any person not being a member of the insured family or an employee of the insured, loss of or damage to property not being the property of the insured or of his family members or his employees, or direct damage to personal effects of any person not being a member of the insured family or an employee of the insured. The rates of the premium vary according to the limits of indemnity, any one person, any one accident and any 1 year. Then there are professional indemnity insurance policies. Professional indemnities are designed to provide insurance protection to professional people against their legal liability to pay damages arising out of negligence in the performance of their professional duties. Policies are available to doctors, medical practitioners, medical establishments, engineers, architects and interiors decorators, chartered accountants, finance consultants, management consultants, lawyers, advocates, and solicitors. Professional risks fall into broad groups, where professional negligence may result in bodily injury, fatal or otherwise. Doctors, dentists, etc. fall into this group. Where professional negligence may result in financial losses, chartered accountants, solicitors, etc. fall in this group. And then employer's liability policy. This is also known as workman compensation insurance. The policy provides or protects the employees or the workers against their legal liability for payment of compensation arising as a result of death or disablement of the employees arising out of in the course of employment. Policy provides indemnity against legal liability under the Workmen's Compensation Act, Fatal Accident Act, and common law. The policy does not specify any sum insured because the amount of compensation stipulated in the Act or awarded by a court of law determines the limit of liability of the insurers. So generally, the rate is charged as a rate per milli of the total earnings of the employees or the workers. The total earnings of the employees cannot be accurately compounded or computed at the commencement of the policy. So an estimate of the total earnings made and a deposit premium is charged. The premium is finally adjusted after the expiry of the policy on the basis of the actual total earnings of the employees during the period. Then directors and officers liability policy. So this is a highly specialized type of insurance. Directors and officers of a company held positions of trust and responsibility. They may become liable to pay damages to the shareholders, employees, creditors, etc. of the company for wrongful acts committed by them in the supervision and management of the affairs of the company. So the policy is designed to provide protection to directors and officers against their personal civil liability. So in liability section, the liability is determined on the basis of the AOA and AOY, and premium rate charge is in per milli. This AOA and AOY are any one accident and any one year limit. Liability policies are especially meant for non-motor segment, and they includes industrial risk, Public Liability Act coverage, non-industrial risk, product liability, professional indemnity liability, director and officers liability, third party lift liability, etc. These are common policies which are meant to provide the coverage against the death, permanent disablement, bodily injury or property damages. Thank you very much.